Stalker 2 is a weird game. Set in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, at first glance Stalker looks like any other modern shooter with its realistic art style and believable weapons and grounded combat, but you don't have to look for too long to see that not all is what it seems. Stalker is not a run and gun kind of shooter, nor is it one you could play while turning your brain off, at least not initially. Ammo and medical kits are scarce, and death is quick and common for both you and your enemies. Everything has weight, including ammo, so you have to be conscious of the gear you bring, knowing that anything extra that you pick up will literally slow you down and make it easier for you to die. It's these plus other considerations that make Stalker an immersive experience by making your actions feel meaningful and deliberate. Or else. But what separates it from other military-style shooters is the zone itself, and the mutants and the anomalies littered within. Anomalies are mysterious tears in reality that manifest themselves in a myriad of ways, all hazardous and deadly. There's these orbs of refracted light that will give you concussion. There's these acid pool things, electrical ones that lurk where electricity is normally associated with. There's these fire spouts and these whirlwinds that start out small and then expand upon getting close to them. There's floating shards of glass that will make you bleed. There's these electrical balls of light that will sometimes follow you around and zap you. And there are others, each having no opinion on whether or not you're alive or dead, but will kill you all the same. A big part of Stalker is carefully navigating the zone while looking for reality-bending objects of power called artifacts that appear amidst a confluence of anomalies in order to sell them for profit. And I noticed something interesting as I played more and more of the game. I noticed that, as strange as these hazards are, I was getting used to them, getting better at dealing with them, and even becoming complacent and lazy in regards to how I avoided them. Much like how one deals with a new tragedy or new circumstances, and over time how you adapt to it. In my first dozen hours of the game, I was cautious. Death is cheap and easy, and the zone is full of random dangers from anomalies, mutants, and bandits. And even if the outcome wasn't death, each encounter would deplete my limited stash of ammo and medkits, and it would also degrade my gear, which costs money. And because the dangers are so varied and appear frequently enough to be concerning but not constantly enough to always be vigilant, it was difficult for me to fully relax even while traversing an otherwise harmless-looking field or forest. I was constantly asking questions like, are those leaves swirling because of the wind? Or is it an anomaly? Is the light bending? Or is that just my mind playing tricks on me? One way to temporarily clear most anomalies is to throw a bolt at it, causing it to activate and disperse. So while exploring the zone and looking for artifacts, I'd throw a bolt every few seconds to be sure. It was hard for me to ascertain if the mundane was extraordinary, and inversely, I would often get caught in anomalies that I thought were the mundane. And the interesting thing is that, naturally, the more time I spent with the game, the more comfortable I got in the world. And thus, these strange dangers became more and more normal to me, just a fact of life in the zone. I got better at noticing the small details, the whirling of leaves, the bending of light, the small spouts of flame, and electricity on the ground. I became better at identifying bandits and knowing the best guns to take them down. Mutants, while scary at first, I also learned how to spot and deal with, namely by using as much buckshot I could throw at them while aiming for center of mass. And the mutated dogs and boars, I befriended via mods because they're just cute little guys and I just want to coexist with someone, okay? I became accustomed to a very different world than ours. Now, when I traverse a zone, I often sprint while listening to a video essay or the news on my phone, volume high enough on the computer that I could still hear the dangers, but not bothered enough by the dangers to have my full attention. Now, I've been playing this game the way I would another looting-centric open-world RPG. That is to say, being a loot goblin. So at this point, food, ammo, and medkits are abundant. I'm better at the game now, yes, but I'm also sloppier. I take things for granted. And my God, I realize, isn't that just how the human brain deals with new things, no matter how dangerous or weird or life-changing it is? I found myself noticing that the weird was becoming the normal, and that's kind of fascinating, isn't it? How the brain adapts to absurdity. It makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. We would not make it as far as a species as we have if we weren't so malleable, but still, to notice this change happening within myself while playing a video game is really interesting to think about. At the time of recording this video, 2025 is a few weeks away, and with it, the 5-year anniversary of the public health crisis, which properly hit Seattle around March of 2020. A world-changing disruption. On the worst end, millions of people now have deceased friends and family members and coworkers, or have lingering effects of the plague, or themselves are just straight up gone. On the less bad end, life was mostly the same, just with new social expectations, shakier economic circumstances, among other things. And me, I was in the middle. The restaurant I was working at the time, a restaurant I actually liked, closed down, and I was on unemployment for a while until it was clear that they were basically closed down for good, in which case I got another job. That time on unemployment, almost a whole year of it, was so strange. I lived alone. It was just me and the new rats I got for company, my first ever pets on my own as an adult. Weekly on Sunday, I would do my unemployment logs, which covered my rent and my bills and some extra money for weed and little else. And then I just existed in my apartment with my rats. I didn't do much of anything, too isolated and anxious to do any good creative work. Existing was sort of the maximum that I was capable of. Now, my life before the public health crisis was one of going to house parties and playing indie rock to a handful of punks in a basement and going out drinking and all the other stuff people do in their 20s. By 2021, I had gaps of entire weeks without seeing another human face to face. It was just me and the rats, a complete departure from my old life as I knew it. And yet, another routine formed. It was, historically, an interesting time that day-to-day was incredibly boring and predictable, with the main uncertainty being, when will this end? Eventually, it did end. Well, not the public health crisis that's still going on. It's now not a pandemic, but endemic, which is worse, by the way, because the cat is fully out the bag, and even though we are better at treating it, the whole world has had to adapt with this novel virus becoming a normal threat to day-to-day life. Now, I'm in a reality that was unfathomable 5 years ago. Great in so many ways, but depressing with how wow, we really didn't solve the core problem, did we? We just adapted to the new world, adapted to a new normal. This has been the case with the human mind forever. I suppose if the brain was not malleable to stress and change, the mind would crack. I guess those with anxiety, like myself, have less malleable brains, but I still manage to get by good enough, I guess, even though, yeah, the cracks do show, and I do wish my mind was more flexible to change. Playing Stalker, I think of the devs in Ukraine, how they had to adjust to not just 5 years of the plague, but 3 years of a nuclear superpower invading them. Well, superpower now might be a bit much given how the 3-day special operation is well past 1,000 days, but still, Russia is big, they have nukes, and they have been ceaselessly sending men to slaughter and be slaughtered for basically no reason aside to stroke another fascist ego. And I imagine, wow, it must be so surreal to be like, I don't know, a cook there in Kiev. It must be weird to be a parent of a young kid. Life goes on even during an invasion, and someone still has to do the damn laundry and clean the damn dishes. On a similar note, the death of pets or friends or family is also a very common thing in life that feels completely wrong and strange and terrible until it's not as much anymore. I'm sure you know what I mean. That terrible, sinking feeling when you get the news that they're gone. The denial, the resistance to the idea, the bargaining, the anger. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. But it is. Now, all pets are destined to break the hearts of their owners down the line, but with rat owners, that reality is faced more often than others. These beautiful creatures, so full of personality and thoughts and feelings, only live to be about 1.5 to 3 years or so. And every time, it's the same. They enter my life, and it's so strange to have them around, so fun to watch them explore my apartment, a strange and potentially dangerous place for them as small prey animals. And over time, some more quickly than others, they acclimate. My home becomes their home. They learn about me and I learn about them, their favorite hiding spots and treats, their specific ways they show affection, sometimes by nibbling, or by licking, or by climbing. And then, way too soon, they're gone. And for a while the apartment feels wrong, it feels empty. And then, eventually, given time, things start to feel normal again. A new baseline is established despite it all. It's a core facet in human psychology, our nature of adapting to change, of getting used to new things, even if some of us cling more tightly to stability and routine than others. It's a feeling that Stalker 2 strongly gives me. During the long walks between safe houses and story missions and artifacts, being self-aware of the changes occurring within me. how radically different I see the zone now than I did a month ago, which could only happen because of the intricate system the game has, making choices feel like they matter, and having a learning curve that has enough depth to master. With only 25 hours into the game, there's still an abundant amount of secrets I've yet to uncover, mutants and anomalies I've yet to see. I've only recently discovered the abandoned city of Pripyat, and have not even gotten close to the nuclear power plant itself. So I imagine this feeling of bewilderment and the acclimation to the bewilderment will continue on as I explore, and as the devs patch the game to be more close to their artistic vision. I look forward to it. It's been ages since the game has made me so curious and eager to explore, so long since the place felt this believable and immersive, that it's activating some feelings that have been dormant for quite some time, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching this video. I'm the Rat Shepherd. If you liked this, please hit the like button, and if you loved it, please subscribe. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.